Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Interesting development, and it's not a good one if you're the Indiana Hoosiers. Okay, so I have been a defender of the Indiana Hoosiers and the Indiana basketball team. I have said, I believe this is a good job. I believe this is a very good job in the NIL era. And I said, I think they're going to get a good head coach for this coaching job. So I've been a defender. I've been a believer. I believe, in my opinion, that they're going to get somebody good. But what I will say is a lot of the candidates that they want are starting to kind of, say no. Brad Stevens, thanks, but no thanks. Dusty May at Michigan signs an extension. I thought there was a moment in time where maybe TJ Otzelberger, because his buyout had dropped, could be a factor. I don't think he is going to be a factor. And so I bring it up because they're starting to run out of candidates, although I will say, Indiana fans, I believe this in my heart, Chris Beard wants that job. And for whatever reason, Indiana doesn't seem to be interested. And I know what the reason is, his past. I personally think it's crazy. If you're an Indiana fan that just says, I have no interest in Chris Beard as my head coach, that's fine. That's your prerogative. I think winning heals a lot, and that is a guy that would come to Indiana, win right away. He's got the Bob Knight ties. It just makes too much sense to me. But right now, it doesn't feel like they're pursuing Chris Beard. I have heard that. I saw Jeff Goodman put it out there. And so now the question becomes, well, who's left? Well, that's the problem, okay? Because speaking of Jeff Goodman, he was on the Field of 68 on I guess it would have been Tuesday night, and they were talking about the Indiana coaching job. They had a bunch of guys on set, including Stanford Steve, which is kind of crazy, but that's another conversation for another day. But I bring it up because they asked Jeff Goodman who could be candidates. He gave two names, one very inspiring, one not so much. Producer Matt, play the sound.
What's the list?
It's dwindling. It's dwindling, Steve.
So here's what it is.
I got a name if it's a possibility.
Okay. All right. You throw it out. TJ Otzelberger's out. I don't think they want Mick Cronin. I don't think they want Buzz Williams. Scott Drew, no, not in the mix. We know Brad Stevens is out. Dusty May's out. Greg McDermott was down the list to start out because he's 60 years old. I think the two names to watch, probably, unless McDermott moves back up, are Brad Brownell and Ben McCollum. I think those are the two guys that it's going to end up being one of those two.
Brad Brownell and Ben McCollum. Those are the two guys that I think it's going to be. Well, I got a lot of thoughts on that. I like one candidate that I don't think would necessarily take the job. One, I hate another candidate, and I think there would be a revolt in the fan base if it happened. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. First of all, Ben McCollum, he'd be a home run. Okay, I think everybody knows the backstory, but he, of course, was a D2 coaching legend. Hard to be a legend at like 42 years old, but he won 4 national championships at Northwest Missouri. The guy's unbelievable. He's like 42 years old. He won 4 national championships at the D2 level. Okay. And so I bring it up because he comes down to D1, and immediately Drake goes 28-4 this year, wins the Missouri Valley, and is going to the NCAA tournament. Listen, I'm not a bracketologist, but probably as a 7 seed, probably as a 6 seed, whatever it is. He's unbelievable. And so if Indiana can get him, yeah, you'd win the press conference. He's a stud. Like, I think if you could get him, that's great. There's 2 problems with him. One, the obvious one, is that he took his sweet time leaving Northwest Missouri. And so to me, he seems to be a very strategic guy. He doesn't seem to be a guy that's going to jump every year over year over year to climb the coaching ladder. He just seems like a guy that, be where your feet are. Don't, what's the old saying? Sorry, it's almost 1 a.m. Eastern right now. Forgive me. What is it? Don't try to get happier than happy. And so he almost didn't leave the D2 level. Like, he said that he really tossed and turned about leaving for Drake. And if it wasn't the opportunity to play in a Division I NCAA tournament, he wouldn't have left. And so if he wasn't in a rush to leave the D2 level, is he going to leave Drake after 1 year? And then beyond that, even if he does, there's a couple things. One, he doesn't seem like a guy that cares about the spotlight, doesn't want the spotlight. I don't know if that's a good fit for Indiana, and I'll take it a step further. I've said this before on the show. I'll say it again. I believe that the Iowa job is going to open after the season. Fran McCaffrey's getting older, 2 bad years. There's some stuff going on in his family life that you can Google if you're not familiar with it. I think he's done. Well, Ben McCollum is from Iowa. Ben McCollum actually waited for the Drake job because he wanted to go back to his home state, or at least that was one of the appeals. So if the Iowa job opens, I think he's probably more inclined to take that one. I'll take it a step further. Virginia officially let go of their interim head coach on whatever today is, Wednesday, after they lost in the ACC tournament. You don't think Ben McCollum kind of feels more Virginia? He's kind of the new age Tony Bennett. I think that's a spot that makes much more sense for Ben McCollum than Indiana does. And by the way, I would like Indiana because I'm a guy that wants the spotlight on me. I'm a little arrogant like that, whatever. But I just bring it up because not all these guys want that. And I think Iowa is a spot that actually makes a lot more sense. Virginia is whatever. I just don't know if he would take Indiana even if he's offered. By the way, Indiana fans, I hope I'm wrong. I'm just telling you. Well, here's the issue. If it's not him, Goodman feels pretty good that it's going to be Brad Brownell, okay? So Brad Brownell is the Clemson coach. Clemson is certainly playing well this year, been in the top 25 all year. And he's from the state of Indiana. Don't know that I love the idea of him being the head coach, but here's the concern. Brad Brownell was actually asked about the Indiana job, or at least the opportunity to take other jobs during the ACC pre-tournament teleconference on Tuesday or Wednesday. He didn't really deny that he might be interested if something came along. Producer Matt, play the sound.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about potential jobs. I have a great job, and I'm 100% focused on this team and what we've got ahead of us, and trying to do everything I can to help us continue to win the next game.
But you can't avoid it in this day and age where anyone can throw any name out there.
Yeah.
Is there a weird factor there?
No, you're grateful that, that you're doing good things, right? That's what's going to happen if you're doing the right things and you're winning enough games. So, I've never been a self-promoter, and that's partly because how much I really like Clemson. I mean, obviously I sent both daughters here and I've been here 15 years. So, I think this place is really a special place.
So Brad Brownell, not exactly sounding as though he would say no if he was offered that job. Let me say this. I don't like him as a fit. First of all, let me get into the resume, but then I want to get into the potential ramifications of that. First of all, I know Clemson's playing well. I think I said they made the Sweet 16 last year. They actually made the Elite Eight. They're 26-5 this year, okay? Here's the issue. This is year 15 for Brad Brownell. Year 15 for Brad Brownell at Clemson. This will be his 5th NCAA tournament. Now, Clemson, that's not bad. Here's the issue. Made a tournament in year 1. Didn't go again until 2018. Ironically, I was at that NCAA tournament. The regional was in San Diego. Producer Matt's Auburn Tigers were there as well, but that's another conversation for another day. Bring it up. Didn't make a tournament from 2011 to 2018. If he had not made the tournament that year, he probably would have gotten fired. Then proceeded to go from 2018 to last season without winning an NCAA tournament game. And so this is a guy that basically has lived the last decade on the hot seat. Like, it's a running joke in college basketball circles. Like, nobody loves being on the hot seat more than Brad Brownell, okay? So to me, you're basically taking a guy that in 15 years, it took 15 years for him to figure out how to be a really good power conference head coach. And it just so happens to coincide with the 2 worst years in ACC history, okay? And so to me, if you hire this guy, this is my prediction, producer Matt, this will be your 2-minute clip. You try to hire Brad Brownell, I believe we're going to have a Schiano Sunday Indiana style, okay? So for people who don't know, Schiano Sunday, that's of course the infamous day where Tennessee tried to hire Greg Schiano as its head football coach, and the Tennessee fan base basically revolted and said, no, we're not taking this. More recently, Mark Stoops, he was hired at Texas A&M. He'll tell you he never took the job. He never took the job, but he was hired. It was done. And then they saw how angry the fan base was about that hire, refused to hire him. And so to me, you try to hire Brad Brownell, we're going to have Schiano Sunday Part 2. We're going to have Tuesdays with Brad. I don't know, whatever. It's going to be a disaster. It's really bad. And I'll just be honest. Two things. One, Indiana, just go hire Chris Beard. What are we doing? Wins everywhere. Got a checkered background. We've already talked about it. Ole Miss did all the work for you. They hired him. They were the ones that took all the bad headlines. Go hire him. He wins everywhere. Two, I would also say you hire Brad Brownell, it's going to be a disaster. And I'm going to stop defending you. Not that anybody at Indiana cares about me, but it's like, I've been defending this job. It's a good job in this era. People want it. You hire Brad Brownell, I'm out. We're all out. We're never talking about Indiana again on this show. You have my guarantee. What a disaster that would be. By the way, for all your updates on all things of the Indiana coaching search, make sure to follow our Indiana page, Torres on Indiana.